The Little Drummer Boy is a really interesting film, and one that I found to be quite sweet. And the character of the Little Drummer Boy is absolutely not what I expected. And because of that, I found it quite refreshing, even though this was released in 1968. And I don't believe I'd ever seen it before. Maybe I had as a child at some point, but certainly I'm considering this the first time that I've seen this. It's directed by Jules, Arthur Rankin Jr., and Takeo Nakamura, and written by Romeo Muller. And I'll be honest, apart from the song with the little drummer boy, I don't know anything about the character. I don't know the character's origin or anything like that. So this is very much an education for me. Shamefully, it's taken me 30 years. And the narrative is all about this little drummer boy who is unfortunately in a very sad position in life. I won't say too much because I don't want to ruin that part of the narrative. And he comes across these individuals who are basically going to not kidnap him, but convince him against his will to join them and try and swindle people out of their money. Because when the little drummer boy plays his drum, the animals dance. The camels, the sheep, they all dance and enjoy the music. So these men think that if they convince this little drummer boy to join them, because obviously everybody's gone off to Bethlehem, etc., to their hometowns for tax purposes. Said, of course, in the run up to Jesus' birth, they think that if they take this little drummer boy and he plays a drum and the animals dance, people will give them some money. And the little drummer boy kind of doesn't want to do this, but at the same time, he thinks if he gets some money, he can start afresh and start a new life away from everything. Because, interestingly, and what really surprised me about this character is that he's very negative. He hates all of humanity. For granted, a real reason, which again I won't explain, but he has this really deep hatred for humanity. And then his story becomes entwined with that of the Nativity, and he learns an important lesson. And I thought it was really lovely. As I said, I didn't expect the little drummer boy to be quite such a pessimistic, negative, troubled character. And there are valid reasons for his negative outlook, but at the same time, it's not the usual kind of disposition a young child in a Christmas based film has. So it was certainly very interesting, and I enjoyed the way in which this narrative blended in with the birth of Jesus and the importance of that there. And there, there were a few things in this that actually amused me. There was a comment that the men, I want to call them crooks, but I guess it's not really, they're not really criminals, because what they were trying to do, they were going to encourage this boy to put on a performance and people would pay. It's not really criminal, but their way of going about it was not necessarily completely kind of heart. But these men, um, one of them made a comment about how it's really weird that the three wise men were traveling at night in the desert, because nobody does that. And it just amused me quite a lot, because it's not something I've ever considered before, that they had to follow this star, but that meant travelling in the desert at night, and that's probably not the safest thing to do. The Nativity does gloss over certain trivial points like that. But I really enjoyed it a lot. The style of animation is really sweet. Visually, it's really beautiful to look at. This kind of gorgeous little stop motion puppet figure with these big eyes, and the animals. I'm not going to say it's the smoothest animated film. It's not. The editing's not fabulous, but because the narrative is so warm and fuzzy, and the film in general is just a delight to watch. It's something that I think is very easy to look past. It may have took me a very long time to get around to seeing The Little Drummer Boy, but I think it's definitely worth watching.